What's up, guys? Welcome to the Deep Surface Podcast, man. We're excited, elated to be back for a second episode. Listen, it's been a lot of change going on, guys. It's a lot of change going on, and the biggest change, Tab, I'm gonna come to you because you a hater.
Oh wow!
Wow, we throwing out names.
So I want to talk about the playoffs for just a second. And there's a certain player that's not in the playoffs right now. And the playoff has been relatively okay. It's been cool. But it doesn't fit the same without a certain player. Tab, how you feel about LeBron James not being in the playoffs right now?
Oh, I thought you was talking about Steph Curry.
That's what I thought too.
Because
My man.
the playoffs,
My man.
they look different
My man.
when Steph Curry is not in there. Just a side right quick. I didn't get the memo that we were supposed to wear suits.
You did.
So I promise the next time.
Our big sis told you about it.
We're going to dress up a little bit.
So we doing some, okay.
I'm feeling the kind of way.
Okay, but you look good though.
I mean, you know.
You look good. Hey, let me ask you a question. So I'm gonna go to you, Keegan, on this question. Are we seeing the end of LeBron James, or was it just his injuries? How do we deduce that? Because he's in his 18th year. He's contributed a lot to the game. He has a lot of miles on the game. He's played the most games, damn near 35,000 points, all type of accomplishments. But Father Time is undefeated.
No doubt.
Was it just a matter of his ankle, or was it the 18th year?
So, to your point, being undefeated, I think the first thing you got to say is don't look at the end as a negative. We all got to hit that point, no matter who you are, right? But I think extended play, low off season, everyone is injured. And when you are that long in the tooth in your career, you're even more affected by that lack of off season. So I think that also kind of compounded the situation because he played through the entire bubble, you know. So I think for me, it's a combination of him being old in his career and also low off season.
Did you see any remnants of him being old?
Yes.
Oh, when? I'm just trying to figure out when.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why I'm asking, was it the ankle injury? Because I thought it was the ankle injury.
No,
if you ask me.
No, it could be the fact that he wanted to take a step back to let Aiden do what he want to do. But the reality is he's not as quick as he was. He won't have that bounce he used to have or that explosiveness. That's not a knock. The man is 96 years old. Stop it.
You take any, how many LeBron, can I ask you, before we get started, how many LeBron haters do we have in the room? And I want you to be honest.
My shade tree is little.
Yeah.
Because I got one right beside me.
I don't hate him.
Tap, is he getting old, or is he getting old, or is it the injury?
Okay.
Well, hold on for a second, Tap. Why do you want to excuse age for injury? Like, he getting old. It's a fact. It's okay.
I don't think it's this man just won a championship.
He's lost a step.
We gotta stop, Roy. What are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? I think people want LeBron to lose a step.
But why can't he though?
Huh? But I don't feel like he has though. Is what I'm saying. I think people relish in the fact. Now listen, LeBron has done a lot of things for people to snip at him. I'll give you that. But the man play, which is on the court, the best basketball player we've ever seen. No questions about that.
This year?
Huh?
This year?
Oh, overall.
Okay, overall.
Overall. Tap, I know you don't agree with that.
Well,
but I need you to answer that question.
You asked that question. So
but I need you to answer that question, Tap.
Okay, so my answer is this. Unlike in the Michael Jordan era, players are not afraid to go up against LeBron. They're not afraid to go up against him at all. They'll take it right to LeBron. If you looked at Devin Booker
there's no fear factor.
in that series against LeBron, there was no fear. And honestly, he looked like the best player on the court.
On that series,
and
he
we see that, and he definitely looked like the best player on the court.
AK, do you agree with that?
Not at all. Can we just stop? Can we just start by separating fear from losing? Because you can not be fearful and still take that L. So
you
a lot of people that maybe don't fear LeBron in that same way.
You watched that first series.
You're still going down, bro.
And you felt
it's
like
a reason
LeBron,
10 years in a row in the finals.
Not knowing who LeBron was, if you just looked at the court, you felt like LeBron was the best player on that in that first series?
In that series.
No question. He wasn't. He was not.
No, he wasn't.
Absolutely
we
not.
can't argue that. But we can't argue that LeBron. We can't argue that LeBron is still a top tier player, even with age and injury. He's still better than 85% of the NBA.
Yeah.
Even at his age.
But that's
and
cool.
with
But that wouldn't get him out the first round. That didn't get him out the first round.
This year, we just won a chip last year. We can't win them all. Can't win them all.
It was an asterisk year last year too. It was a bubble year.
It was.
Even
hold on.
yeah.
You don't
Even
count
harder.
LeBron. So you
Even
hold on.
harder.
I'm gonna go to Tap, and I'm gonna go to you, Roy. So you think this was a bubble? You think his championship in the bubble don't count?
It was shaky at best. It was shaky.
I think Miami proved the
It
point.
was like
I
COVID
think Miami
going on.
Heat
It was a
proved that
lot
point.
going
I think
on.
Miami Heat
Keegan,
proved that
what do
point.
you feel about LeBron?
I don't feel
It
anything.
feels like you're hating on LeBron.
No, I'm not
It's
hating
like
on
y'all
him.
birds of a feather over here.
I'm not.
Man,
Hold on. Go to
Roy,
Roy.
can I get
Go
some?
to Roy.
Hold on.
Go to Roy.
Roy,
Go
can
to
I
Roy.
get some help,
Go to
my
Roy.
boy?
Okay.
Put the mic up to you.
I don't feel like it's neither. I don't think it was the injury nor the age. I think LeBron lacked help, and you guys are missing that point. That they were tired. 72 days of the offseason, of course.
71.
71 days. Doesn't matter.
Everything counts.
2 months, bro. 2 months to bounce back at 36. Like, that's just, it's too much to deal with.
Violin
But
and cello.
as far as you said the cello, I take the little violin. I take the
and the big one.
But as far as you saying Devin Booker was the best player, Devin Booker been a baller. Like he been a point scorer.
I think
He's been waiting on this opportunity.
And I also think Devin Booker is probably the closest thing we've seen to Kobe in terms of skill wise.
That and Jason Tatum.
That and Tatum.
Jason
That and
Tatum.
Tatum.
Here's what-
That and
here's
Jason
my
Tatum.
problem. This is my problem.
I'm not saying.
Anytime somebody beats LeBron, they're the greatest thing
I
on
didn't.
That should tell you
God's great
something.
earth.
That should
to
tell
ever
you
pick a
something.
basketball up.
I didn't say
Just
something.
because they beat LeBron.
I
in the
said
series.
he's
should
the
tell you
So
closest
now
thing.
Devin Booker is Kobe?
That should tell you
This
something.
has to stop.
Devin Booker been putting up points.
That's
He didn't say he was Kobe. He said he was Kobe like.
I did not say he was Kobe.
Kobe.
I said the
Kobe.
closest thing to Kobe we've seen.
You stretching.
Wait, no, that's not stretching.
You're running a marathon.
First of all,
Running a
Devin
marathon.
Booker's more efficient.
No one said-
Devin Booker is a better shooter from three than Kobe Bryant. Let's not act like
That's
he can
facts,
do
though.
everything on the court
That's
that
facts.
Kobe can do. The nostalgia of our past keeps us from moving forward. That's a
Thank you.
lesson in life.
Especially people-
We gotta stop this.
Steve, hold on. So volume don't mean correct.
No, I didn't say it was correct.
Like that.
But it felt good.
So calm down.
But it felt good.
So break it down a notch.
I'ma keep
Volume
it a
does not
man.
mean correct, right?
Just
So let's do
because you're
this.
loud, it doesn't mean you're
Just be
right.
correct.
So now we go ahead of me. Now we all go ahead.
Yeah. But here's my point
glad you
about
brought the age up.
You act like because we're saying that LeBron might be losing the step, we're saying something negative about him. Like everyone loses a step.
Okay, question.
I asked the
Everyone.
I don't know. It felt. I get that, but the way you and Tap positioning it felt like a little haterade, bro.
I think you're a little defensive.
I ain't defensive.
I
I
think
just
you're a
think
little
you.
defensive.
I
You
just
might
think-
be a little.
I'm not defensive.
You're a little
But
soft.
let me get
There's
back
some
to
cotton
hold on
candy
for a
on your
second.
sleeve. You got some cotton candy in you
No,
right now.
let me get some of this. Let me get some of this Booker action again. Tap, and I want to go back to you because you saying anything and you haven't watched Booker. If you think that statement I made is ludicrous, Booker has been playing that type of ball since. Now, let me be clear. I am not saying he's Kobe Bryant. I'm not saying he's going to have the career Kobe Bryant had. All I'm saying is style of play, the way he moves, how he gets himself open, how he positions himself on the court, the smoothness of his game reminds me of the closest thing to Kobe. You can talk about Jason Tatum as well, but I like Devin Booker and his movements. And Devin Booker is a dog. He's been playing like this. He just needed somebody like a Chris Paul to come in and give him that range. Now let me go to this question. I want to go to you, AK, on this one.
You funny.
Now, since LeBron, we got our two old heads over
You'll
here.
make a point and run away.
No, I ain't running away. I'm just saying, the two old heads that we have over here believe that LeBron is deteriorated, and the Father Time does catch up with everybody.
We didn't
We
say
didn't say
that.
that.
I'm just listen.
Not
Listen. I'm just saying, Father Time does catch up with everybody. But what I'm gonna say
No,
this:
your NC credit score is low.
who's
I'm
the
just saying.
next guy to take the role of the NBA? Who's next? Who's the next face of the NBA? Because you guys are right. Father Time, I'm agreeing. Father Time will catch up. I'm gonna give you slack, but Father Time will catch up. In all seriousness, AK, and I'm gonna go to Tap, and I'm gonna go to you. Who's next?
As of right now, face of the league,
Face of the league.
Luka.
Ooh.
Luka. All aspects of the game,
Don't look
all
at
around
I
player.
know.
Don't look at these two.
Luka. As much as I don't want to say that, Luka.
Don't look at these two.
I would love to hear somebody argue that all-around game,
Yeah,
Luka.
I think
Luka.
there's a.
You agree with Luka too?
I think that he's the next tier.
But I'm talking about right now. LeBron's gonna
generation. There's some people that's still playing.
Please,
That's the face of the league,
Thank
like
you.
Steph Curry,
Thank
like
you.
Kevin Durant.
No,
I
he's
that's
saying
what
the
I'm
next
asking.
wave.
These
The
guys
next
are
wave
not
after
LeBron's
you.
era. LeBron
No,
was
they're
playing
still
before these
technically
guys.
That's what I'm asking you.
Right.
Who's
The
the
next
next guy?
era is those
So
guys.
who's the next guy? Stop skipping around.
So you're saying when LeBron
Who?
leave? Wait, time out.
When
You're
LeBron
saying
retires,
as soon
who's
as
the face of the league?
You're saying as soon as LeBron leaves,
When
who's next?
LeBron leaves, who's the face of the league?
LeBron might have maybe 2-3 years left. So with that, Dame,
Thank you.
Steph still. KD
Give
was,
me a definitive answer.
James Harden. That's
Absolutely.
That's my next one.
But
I
think there's so much parity of top tier talent.
But I feel like you have
can't
to
have one answer to that.
Yeah, you have to rephrase that. You gotta rephrase that question.
The NBA has always traditionally done this. They've always picked either 1, 2 guys. The only time there were 2 guys there was the face of the league was Larry and Magic. It was always it was Jordan, it was Kobe, then it was LeBron.
But
Tim Duncan filled in a little slot there too as well.
I'm putting about top tier talent parity. There was nobody else like MJ. There was nobody else like Kobe. There was nobody else like, at the time, LeBron. So there was nobody else even compared. Today, you have a lot of comparables at that top tier level.
Does anybody stick out?
Steph.
Hold on. French made a great point.
Well, you don't want me to talk about that, but go ahead, French.
No, French made a
go
great
ahead,
point.
speak up. Give him the mic.
In my opinion, the next face of the NBA is Zion Williams.
Whoa.
Without a question. Without a doubt. That's the next face of the NBA.
So validate. Talk about why. Excuse me, AJ, talk about why.
He's unstoppable in the paint, first of all. What he did this season in the paint was he made NBA history in the paint. Made NBA history. Never been done before. And he's only what? 20.
He's like 19 years old.
20. He's 20.
It's really legal.
He's 20.
And for everybody,
20 years old.
Everybody who's watched the podcast, understand that Zion is my favorite player. So I completely agree with you, French, and I thank you for throwing that shout out. I don't think he's next per se, but I think we're leaving out a player.
So
we're leaving out KD.
No, he mentioned KD.
I mentioned KD.
He mentioned KD.
No.
But
KD, no, next phase of the league, KD is on his way out just like LeBron.
Go ahead.
KD is on his way out.
Give him the mic.
Oh, give Ivan the mic.
KD can't be the face of the league because he's never won with a team built around him before. If you can't be the face of a league if you can't have a team built around you and actually lead them to a championship. So KD, no, he didn't tarnish his resume by doing so. He has to be in a situation where he has a team built around him, win a championship, lead them to a championship, and then it can be considered in the conversation. But he's getting too up in age in order for him to be that face of the league. I think one of the young guys, Tatum, can be the face of the league before him. Based on Tatum has a team that has been basically built around him and been built with him, and he's going to be able to get them there eventually. So KD, I don't think that he makes any noise when it comes to being the face of the league at all.
And there's one point I want to make about the face of the league too. There's a quantitative measure as far as production. There's a qualitative one too.
There you go.
Your personality,
Yes.
how you handle the press.
Yes.
That's also an important part. So that's one. So Jason Tatum and Zion Williamson, they got to grow into that. But KD's not that guy. Talent-wise, but the press conference piece, he's not that guy.
So I want to go to you for a second because I know you got a problem. He said Luka.
Why you want to come back to that? Why you want to come back to that?
Listen, you my boy, and we talked.
You are a provocative dude right now. Why are you doing that, man?
I just want to ask the question.
Okay.
What do you agree with his Luka take?
No.
Why? I'm asking why. You told him to provide me context.
He's a new ways Larry Bird to me. And to me, if you can't defend, I'm not giving you that kind of point. He cannot defend. He can't defend no part of the court and no kind of player. He just can't defend.
What NBA players really can defend?
Really?
Give him the mic.
That's good.
Give him the mic. Say it again.
So
defend.
I'll answer the question. I've seen Dame lock down Russell Williams. I've seen. Really? You haven't seen Dame lock him down?
I ain't gonna say lock down.
And then go back and put up a three?
He's self-destructive.
Stop.
I ain't gonna say lock
now,
down.
now you're building both sides. Now you're parole board
I don't know about that.
Now you're parole dude.
I don't know about lockdown.
I've seen Dame lock him. I've seen Dame lock other dudes down. They're gonna act like Kawhi. When they lock people down, KD will lock a dude down. And you made the argument the other day about KD locking people down.
I disagree with
So
KD.
stop it.
I was talking about the Dame piece.
So Greg, people do play defense.
No, KD got defense. You tripping. You tripping, bro. KD can play defense.
He's not feet 36 inches long. Like he can
He
defend
can play
anybody.
defense.
Like I mean,
He's always been a defender.
yeah.
No,
So, go ahead.
definitely out of the new guys, there's nobody in the league that has the skill set that Luka has. Nobody.
Offensively.
Offensive, yes. And I'm talking about from passing. I'm talking about from passing to shooting to ball handling to running the offense. There's nobody in the league.
So can I hold on for a second. So let me get
Roy, I didn't want to go there. I didn't want to go there, Roy. I didn't want to go there.
But he can't shoot better than Luka. But let me say this.
Ain't the only skill.
What is your point about defense and about nobody plays defense? Go ahead. Let me hear that point.
I mean, the NBA is an offensive game now. Everybody is up and down the court. It's high scoring affairs. That's what it's about now. That's why when he brought up Luka may be the next face because the NBA has been expanding internationally,
globally.
Globally.
So there's a global appeal too as well.
Everything it takes.
So marketing does not equate to realism, right? Because marketing is not real.
Yeah, but he's
Isn't that what marketing is?
marketable.
Yeah, but that don't mean he's the real thing on the court.
Oh, he is the real thing on the court.
Offensively.
Offensively, I mean,
But
as
we're
much
in
as
that
anybody else.
state though. Let's not act like Steph Curry played defense.
Let's not act like that.
Okay.
Hold on. Let's not
Steph
act
Curry don't play
like.
defense
Let's
either.
not act like you did not say, and I agree with that. Kawhi Leonard was the best player in the league at one point in time. And that was like 5 minutes ago.
Who said that?
What?
Kawhi Leonard. After he won the chip in Toronto.
I didn't think he won the best player in the
In
league.
the league?
No,
I think he might make another
I didn't
run.
lie to that.
Okay.
No,
I think he might make another run.
I believe that KD got hurt and Klay Thompson got hurt.
Okay.
That's
I think he might make another run.
Kawhi Leonard would be this era's Michael Jordan. He would be.
Kawhi Leonard was.
He would be. The way he plays.
He was never the best in the league. Never going to be the best in the league.
He's never been a
superstar.
Who, Kawhi Leonard?
He put a team on his back. He won a championship.
This is why I don't do that. This is why I don't do that. No, I'm
He's a
not.
superstar.
I'm not. No. I'm out. Y'all can have it. Y'all got it.
Okay, so
What about the Toronto ship?
I'm out.
Next question.
So here we go.
Toronto ship is solidified.
Hey, hold on for a second. So here we go. Let's move forward. So who's coming out the East and who's coming out the West?
Sixers.
East, Nets.
Greg was
Sixers.
bold with that.
Nets.
Greg was bold with that. That
Big,
Sixers big.
big Nets.
76ers.
Big Nets.
I gotta say
I'm a Philly
76ers.
guy. What else am I going to
Get some
say?
Philly bias.
Go ahead.
No, it's no Philly bias.
big
I
Nets.
really think they
Big
can come
Nets.
out the East.
Who you coming out the East, Keegan?
Nets looking.
Brooklyn.
Let me ask you this question.
And it's
Tap.
Brooklyn.
like the Sixers. I like the Bucks.
How dangerous is Brooklyn at their best? Will there be any team in the next 2 to 3 years if they play at their optimum level? Could any team even be formed with the current NBA roster players as it is beat them?
I'll go as far as to say this. The Nets' big three might be the best big three we've ever seen
Yes.
in the NBA.
Yes.
Wow.
Hands down. From
I
an
agree.
offensive perspective.
I agree.
It's not even close to any other big three that was ever put together.
Yeah.
And not to mention that, their last two players, you got one who leads the league in three-point percentage, and then Blake Griffin at one point in time was a face of a franchise.
And you're getting Benches Blake right now. You're getting Benches Blake right now.
Right. He was trolling the business.
Energized.
He was trolling the business.
They not have to win a championship before we just make those accusations.
Oh, that's on its way.
On paper right now.
Yeah, I was
maybe
just about to
they
say
are.
that.
It's on its way.
But can we say this?
So,
In
can I make a point?
2010, we said the same thing.
Yeah, so here's my point. Can I make a parallel for you? It was an 11-5 team this year that won the Super Bowl. Coming back. On paper, talent-wise, best team in the league. On paper.
But they undertreated.
On paper.
But they
11-5.
One name.
And we were suspect.
Five-time
Tampa's the
Hold
best
hold
team on
for it.
paper?
Hold on for a
five-time
second.
champion.
Run the
Yeah, I think
roster.
they were best on
They
paper.
look good. Paper.
Run the roster.
That roster was
Run the
ridiculous.
roster.
They were
Could y'all be saying anything?
I'm going to disagree with you.
Run the roster.
They're not the best team on paper.
Run the roster.
Last year. And then maybe this year. Not last year.
Who had a better
The wide receiver core.
They had the best.
The wide receiver core.
They did.
The wide
No
receiver
question.
core,
They
the
did.
tight
I
end
agree
core,
with
the
that.
running back core, the defense. Come on, man.
They made a nice run
The quarterback.
last year. They didn't have the best roster last year.
Brady's the Michael Jordan. He's the Michael Jordan of the
Before we saw
NFL.
with the
Michael Jordan.
Hold on, let me go here. So who's coming out the West?
Gotta go Jazz.
Ooh. Who?
Gotta go Jazz.
It's a bold pick.
Clippers?
Coming out the West?
Yeah.
I can see the Clippers coming out the West.
Who coming out the West, Keegan?
I like the Clippers.
Why you say the Jazz?
Donovan Mitchell, man. Not much you can do with that.
Do you think he's Dwayne Wade reincarnated with better shooters around
I
him?
don't want to do that. I don't want to compare player for player. Donovan Mitchell's Donovan Mitchell, and that
Thank
boy
you,
cold.
AK. Thank
And that
you.
boy is cold.
Thank you.
I don't know. Get
I really-
hold it.
AK,
Hold
I
it.
like that.
Hold it.
I like that.
What?
I like that.
Because
It is not comparing all the
I won't
time.
play that game. I won't play that game.
Sometimes it's not comparing. Sometimes it is mimic. Sometimes when you watch players come up behind you and players emulate your game, it is not always saying who's better.
Do I see flashes of D-Wade?
Yes,
Sure,
you
sure.
do. The ultra athleticism. He's 6'3". There is remnants of Dwayne. Why are you looking at me like that?
Bro,
Come on, my guy.
You do.
I ain't comparing everybody. I'm just
You
saying.
need to write you a screenplay.
I need hate you.
Man, you
Let
are
me
an
go here.
entertainer.
Speaking of screenplay,
Seriously.
I got something for you. There's a quote that came out. It said, "You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself
Become the villain.
And I'm going to get to a particular question, but I haven't got there yet, so I'm going to go a couple of places. How does it make you feel when you see an athlete like Mike Tyson, so revered, athlete like Muhammad Ali, Jordan with the Wizards? Let's keep it a band. Kobe in his 19th year.
Dog.
Possibly a Serena right now.
A LeBron right there.
Stop it. Stop it. Let me ask you this question, Tab. What is it in athletes? And you may not be able to know this directly, but what makes an athlete, and you're an athlete, Tab, so I can't ask you this question. What makes those guys go past their ability? Is it ego? What drives them? Because think about it. Look at Muhammad Ali was the greatest athlete we've seen at that time. And it was terrible seeing him fight at the end, watching Larry Holmes knock him out. It was an embarrassment. Is Floyd Mayweather the blueprint for this? Has Floyd Mayweather carved out a new thing? Even so much LeBron, because I don't see LeBron going past his prime. We can even go to a life standpoint where sports meets life. Do we stay too long in a relationship that no longer benefit us?
Wow.
Go with the sports topic first, then Keegan, you can go with the life part.
Jesus.
And everybody want to chime in, raise your hand, because we're going to go there.
I definitely believe it's a mental, to make an athlete great and elite, it starts with mental toughness. I think it's tough. Father Time is undefeated. Father Time is undefeated. But you got to think these athletes still have that same mental toughness. So they still, in their mind, believe that they are that guy still. When their body might be, frailing a little bit. It can't, you can't do the things that you used to do. I remember watching Tyson in one of his last fights say,
Bertha, I think.
Yeah, it was like Bertha, and he just quit. And he was just like, man, I just don't have it no more. I can't. I mean, he didn't lose it to this caliber type of fighter. It's like I don't have it anymore. And I think sometimes the same thing that drives you is the same thing that becomes a detriment to you.
Yeah.
That's good.
You don't know exactly when it's time to hang it up. And it's a gift and a curse with supreme athletes.
I'm going to stay with you. You're a successful barber. You got multiple businesses. Do you think you will ever know that time when to say, I'm going to step back and let my work do the work?
Absolutely.
Or do you know that time? Are you feeling that? Have you felt that?
Yeah, I'm definitely. I know I don't have too much longer just behind a chair every day. Maybe another 2-3 years, maybe.
What has that grind been like for you?
It's just been a consistent. It's been a grind where you set goals, you achieve goals, and you got to set new goals and achieve new goals again. And at this particular point in time, like I love the industry so much, and I see so much new, good talent coming out of the industry. I would rather ride off into the sunset and push some of the younger guys coming in to reach their fullest potential. But I love the industry so much. I'm still going to be involved in the industry. It's just going to be a little bit more behind the scenes opposed to the day-to-day cutting hair.
Keegan, have you ever been in that situation where you stayed too long in a situation, or stayed too long at a career, or you were supremely good at something and you didn't know how to let it go?
Yes and no. I think for me, leaving corporate America, you tend to want to create the exit strategy. Sometimes it doesn't work out the exact way you want it to, so you may have to wait a little bit longer. That happened to me. So I still exited, but I stayed a little bit longer than I wanted to because my thing was not prepared yet. So God was still working on my soil, right? And so that's all that was for me. But yeah, I did stay a little bit longer than I should have or wanted to because of that particular issue. But I think a lot of times when you're in your craft, sports, career-wise, you become the craft. And if you give it up, what will you become? That's what people won't want to leave it, because it becomes them. Because you give it everything. Think about Kobe. He gave it everything.
He did.
I mean, everything.
Think
You can't-
about money making Mitch from Paid in Full. He
That's
said,
all you do.
I can retire.
But they'll still gonna love me.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
love me.
Yeah, you become
Pass
what you
the
are.
mic. But Keegan, and I'm gonna go here while B being passed the mic. Was there a clock ticking in your head when you left corporate America?
Yes.
Was that because you were still relatively successful? What was the urge to make you say, "Go"?
Freedom. Plain and simple. Freedom.
Ooh, Tom.
Because I was in the cage.
Do athletes not feel that same burden, or it's just the nostalgia of them being so caught up in their craft?
I think it's part crap, but it's also they're doing their passion. I wasn't doing my passion.
That's good.
That's a different conversation.
That's why I was in the cage.
That's good.
That's why I was
That's
in the
good.
cage.
You were doing what you had to do.
Yes.
Go ahead, B.
Relevant to the question, the statement rather, I think that you have to know when to say when, especially when it's different avenues. For me being a music guy, doing music, being an athlete and playing athletes, I was like, hey, look, I'm too old for this. I know it's time to hang up the sneakers. But like as far as music, traveling and touring with all these people, and I started to understand that it was about relationships. You build these relationships with people, you know what I'm saying, and then you build a business. Because for me, it was fun, it's still a thrill, it's still a joy to think about the memories of being on stage performing in front of 200, 300,000, 1,000 people. That's a joy. You feel what I'm saying? Those memories are good. But when you get on stage and you start forgetting your lines, it's just like a basketball player. It's just like a basketball game. You get on, you forget to set that pick, or you forget to roll, or you forget to play. It becomes a thinking process and no longer second nature. You feel what I'm saying? And for me, it was like, okay, how do I give back? How do I use my gift and still be in my calling and my purpose? You feel what I'm saying? Hey, open up a studio, get back. And I'm still in my lane, and I still make music, but I make it for me. You feel what I'm saying? The world may never ever hear it again.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? They never ever hear from me again. But it's for me, but I learned to step out. You have to learn how to get out your own way. Sometimes you're in your own way. And that's what happens with athletes. You're in your own way. You destroy your own legacy.
But the ego is so huge. Listen, men respond to praise.
Facts.
And when you're getting praised by the day, wherever you go, whoever you see, there's no such thing as no. It does not exist. That is hard to give up. He made a great point when he talked about Money Making Mitch. Money Making Mitch could have got out. He made a lot of money. In the infamous world of Ace Boogie, everybody eats B. And that was his right-hand man.
Right.
So he was always going to be able to eat what he allowed his Rico to enter the picture. Don't miss that.
Yeah.
Because Rico would have never entered the picture if Money Making Mitch would have got out of the game. But he just couldn't do it. So what did Mitch do? Mitch put his people at harm. He put everybody at harm because he couldn't get out of the game. Remember the uncle? If y'all didn't watch Paid in Full, go watch Paid in Full. One of the greatest movies of all time.
I think in my lane, one of the best examples for me to look at is Master P. You would never hear another song from Master P. Never hear another mainstream record from Master P, Silk Shock, none of those guys. You feel what I'm saying? They got in, did what they did, and you have to know when your time is up. That's part of what makes you great. Even with Michael Jordan, he should have never played for the Wizards.
I'm about to say he didn't know. Don't make that point. He didn't know.
He should never play for the Wizards. You know what I'm saying? So you got to know when to fold them, know when to hold them.
Well, hold on for 1 second about them. Excuse me. I'm sorry, but let me get you the mic.
Yeah, Mike, go ahead.
But I think the thing about Jordan with the Wizards, I think that was part strategy too.
Because he was the owner.
Player coach.
Yeah, gotcha.
I got to learn the operations, but I'm going to buy my own team. I want to know what this thing looks like. So I think it was part strategy. But to your point, he probably should have never played.
Go ahead, Albert.
You know.
And so what I was going to say about the Mike thing, he was pushed out of Chicago. It wasn't because he wanted to stop playing. And so I think the Wizard things was just to come back and show people, yo, I still got a little bit of game. And those years were terrible. The shoes were terrible. Everything was terrible from those years.
It was ego though. Ego.
It was ego.
Mike
It was some ego, but I feel like he felt like he took the time off in the league. Some people think that it was a long suspension. Others think that, he took the time off for his father's death. But at the end of the day, he came back to the league. He got his 3 rings. And then Paxton he wasn't having it no more. He didn't want the team anymore. He didn't want to keep it together. And I feel like because he felt he was pushed, when you have reached that level of greatness and you know that you know your craft and you know how to actually get there and win a chip, and you're pushed, you're forced out, you feel like you have to retaliate. You feel like you have to do something. So I just really feel like it was part strategy, him wanting to become a coach and being able to own a team at some point in time. But I also feel like when you try to push somebody out of something, then they're going to find a drive to be able to come back.
That's a good point. AK, let me ask you this question. When is it the right time in a relationship? How does a person know when to leave a relationship that's not causing them benefit?
I just feel like if you're not grounded within that relationship, if it's not bringing you happiness, if it's not contributing to your overall outlook on life, if it's not bringing you anything back, if you're not being anything's reciprocal, I feel like you know at that point it's like, hey, maybe I need to take a step back or reevaluate some things within that relationship, whether it's we need to sit down and have a talk about it, or it's just like I'm just going to completely remove myself. Either way, I feel like if it's not bringing anything back to you, it's probably not worth giving anything to it.
Go with that, Tap.
I wanted to piggyback on, because I was really sitting over here listening to everyone's thoughts on, when people stay past their time. And, when you have a passion and it's what you love to do, you only get one time to do that.
That's good. True.
You don't want to prematurely stop doing something and then have regrets. Man, I wish I would have came back to the Wizards and try to see, at least let me see where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that Mike, for himself, everybody else might feel like that. I don't think Mike views it as a bad time in his career or a mistake for him to come back, because he loved to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is something that he loved to do. I think too many times in life we worry about the opinions of other people.
Oh, that's good.
We make our decision based on what someone else is telling us it's our time. You should be doing this. Nah, you're supposed to be doing whatever God lays on your heart and wherever you feel like you're doing. AK, I wanted to also piggyback on what you said about the relationship part, when you was like, when it doesn't bring you happiness. In a relationship, the relationship should not make you happy. You should be happy as a person before you even got
that's good.
into that relationship.
That's good.
And I think a lot of times when people get into relationships, they put too much of a burden on the other person.
False expectations.
False expectations that you requiring of someone else to make you happy. Nah, you should be a happy person within yourself. You should be a confident person. Now, I do agree, if that person is not helping you grow or help pushing you or making you an even better person, then, or it's just stagnant, or you see yourself just frustrated all the time with that person, yeah, it might be time to end that relationship, whether it's a date relationship or just even a friendship. If it's not profitable and you don't see that person encouraging you're not encouraging them, I feel like those are the type of relationships that you should end, especially when they're one-sided.
Go ahead, Ivan.
When you don't manage a relationship like a business, you always lose.
Expound on that.
Because when you think about some of the longest relationships, they're always business relationships. You know why? Because they have a common goal in mind and they want to make money together. So you need to sit down, you need to do a profit and a loss statement together. How much have we gained and how much have we lost by being together? How much do we spend time together that actually is meaningful? And so those things actually mean something. So in order for you to have a relationship, and one that's actually going to serve you well, you actually have to be willing to operate it like a business. Plan dates.
Let me say this, and I'm going to push back on your point. I get the logic behind what you're saying, but the reason why there's some flaw there is because human beings are unpredictable. They're not like numbers. In business, 1, 2, and 3 will always be 1, 2, and 3. You can never account for what a human being goes through. What if somebody lose their parents? What if somebody lose a child?
That's it.
What if somebody lost a job? Then the behavior, then their production in the relationship no longer serves the same percentage it did. Now they may not be 100% happy. Is it a guarantee they'll ever get back to that? Can you accept that? Because see, the premise is I'm happy, you happy, we're a whole. But you're not always a whole in a relationship. Sometimes you're a half. Sometimes you're a third. Sometimes you're a fourth. Now, we can roll with that premise if all things are equal or all things in a vacuum, but most times all things aren't in a vacuum. Keegan, what's your point? Give me something on that, Keegan.
Well, I think, to Ivan's point, if you only look at the extrinsic value of it, meaning what we got out of it, that's one part of it. There's an intrinsic value of relationships, right? There's a love component that has nothing to do with what you actually produce,
Gotcha.
right? And so I think if you're going to exclude that part of the relationship, then you're right. But if you want to actually have a love component to it that has nothing to do with what you actually achieve or accomplish, then you got to actually look at it as it's not just a business approach or an endeavor. And I will also say too that, to your point, that I believe I agree with you wholeheartedly, because it's not my job to make the other person happy. It's my job to actually support their pursuit of happiness.
There you go. That's
If
good.
I can't support that pursuit, then I'm the one with the problem. I probably shouldn't be with that particular person. It shouldn't be with me.
So let me tell you the reason why I asked this question, and I'm gonna stay with sports. Then we're gonna go to another topic. But I asked that question for a particular reason, and I want to go to you, Roy, and I'm gonna go to you, AK. Should Dame leave Portland? He's been loyal. He's stayed there. Now we're entering to you're gonna become your own villain to your own town. Here's what fans begin to say: can you really win? Why are we not winning? Why you're doing all these extraordinary things? We're not out of the first round. And let me go to Dame's side of the thing. I've gave Portland everything. I've given them my heart, I've done the right. Everything that the book says you should do, Dame Lillard has been. Clean cut, marketable, on time, working hard, team guy first, still the same results. He never complained, stayed loyal, signed a big contract. AK, should Dame leave Portland, or will he stay too long and watch himself become the villain?
Should he leave? Yes. Will he? I feel like it's a toss-up, but I feel like if he does leave, he'll go to a bigger market. But I feel like he's in a struggle right now of like inclusion and separation. And by inclusion, I mean like I feel like he's so loyal to that organization that he feels like he's built his foundation there. Obviously started there rookie year to now. I feel like he feels like he wants to include everybody in his victories. And with that, I feel like he doesn't want to leave CJ, doesn't want to leave players behind that he's built those relationships with. But at the same time, I feel like he has to fight that struggle of separation where it's kind of like, hey, maybe I do need to distance myself and go another route if I really want to get to that next level of my career, if I want to get to a championship. Because right now, it's like, the way he's been doing it, he haven't got out of a first round. So maybe that inclusion factor isn't the way to do it. You might have to separate and be on your own and build from there if you really want to win.
Or is that a thing with friends that you grow up with? They're not necessarily doing anything wrong. They just fine in your life. But they're not trying to go to the same place you're going to.
For sure.
If you were faced with that situation, what would be the difficulties of you getting out of it?
Me personally, I have been faced
Put
with
the
that.
mic up to you.
Me
I said that
personally,
to you twice, bro.
I have been faced with that. Sorry, sir. I have been faced with that, but I think you just gotta know yourself and know that, hey, yeah, I can choose to hang with these people and be on their level and vibrate low, or I can ascend higher and become what I'm meant to be, follow the path that I'm meant to lead and not follow my friends. I can still associate myself with them, but I'm not going to align myself with what they're doing on the day-to-day because it's not serving me to advance it.
What's the expectations? And anybody can answer this question. What is the expectations that you should have of a friend, and what's the expectation they should have of you? What's a healthy expectation? Because growing up, Keegan, Tap, and a lot of us, we had different expectations of friends. Now friends are different in the Gen Z generation.
Nah, Gen Z, I'm a millennial, sir. I was born in 1995.
I had to say.
Stop the cap.
But overall, anybody can answer this question. Which expectation should you have of a friend?
For me,
should it be mutually beneficial? Will it always be that way? Are you a friend?
It's not going to always be that way.
If it's not mutually beneficial.
That's not true.
Give him the mic, because you said it again.
It's not a friendship if it's not mutually beneficial. You have
explain why.
mentorships, you have associateships.
Mentorships are not friendships.
Right, exactly. So if it's somebody that you feel like you're mentoring, then it's a mentorship. If you always are the one that's giving, if you always the one that's actually giving the advice, if you're pulling that person forward and helping to build them up, that's not a friendship. That's a mentorship.
Is there a time limit on that?
I mean, whenever they decide to be your, whether they get to the point of being your apprentice or not, I'm not sure.
But do you not feel like you could be friends with somebody that maybe you can pour more into them than they can you?
Because that's
Absolutely.
always the case.
Absolutely.
I think that because my mentor is sitting right over here, and I guarantee you he's poured more than me, not poured than him. So, but I offer now. I get you. I offer something, but at some phases, it's not always mutually beneficial for him in certain phases of my life. So, what I'm saying to you is that a friendship or is that a business relationship?
But I think to that point, Steve, when you say it's mutually beneficial, it's because I'm not expecting from you the same thing you expect from me.
Gotcha.
Right.
And I'm okay with that. But I gotta check my profit margin with Ivan because I might not be his friend no more. Yo.
Got it. Check it out. I'm gonna go to you and I'm gonna go to Tap on this one, okay? By Dame staying, is he sacrificing himself to create a new era of loyalty that LeBron and KD destroyed? Because we gotta talk about this. Because there's a lot of people in the NBA, some people in the room, that feel like KD and LeBron destroyed the NBA by teaming up and losing the competitive nature of the game.
I think it's the same exact parallel. What's going on with Dame as what went on with KD.
Correct.
KD.
So you're okay with it?
KD got to a point.
What about LeBron?
We'll talk about LeBron later. But KD, right.
He is LeBron everything. Like everything is LeBron.
They had the same problem. They had the same problem.
Let me go.
Go ahead.
Explain my point.
Hold on. Make that tap go. Go ahead.
Let me explain my point.
Go ahead.
I say that Dame Lillard is in the same situation that KD was in. KD was putting these crazy numbers up.
Okay, I'll give you
He was
that.
getting there all the time, but he couldn't get over the hump. Every time it was a letdown, one way or another. So I have to, basically, I want someone to be, Batman or Robin, or we can both be Batmans. But that's how he viewed him and Westbrook's relationship. Right? He didn't want to have to tell Westbrook, yo, stop shooting. Let me, let me take the shot. He didn't want to have to do that. So him not having to do that, he left and went to Golden State. That's what he did. That's not the same.
Do you think
that's absolutely the same?
So
and that's how Dame Lillard would be looked at.
hold on. You're not gonna get away from this. No. Hold on. I'm not letting my word. So do you think LeBron did the same thing?
Huh? Well, LeBron had been there.
No. Did LeBron have the same measure of talent that KD had? And I want you to be honest.
No.
Okay then. So why did you give the KD example and you didn't give LeBron example?
Because it's too.
Because you a LeBron hater.
No. Let me tell you why. KD's situation is more similar to Dame's. He had.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Hold on. I know you love LeBron. Wait a second. I know you love LeBron.
I'll give him that point.
KD's situation is the same as Dame. Dame has players.
I'll give it up.
But the players that he has is not good enough to go to the next level.
Go ahead and say how he's doing.
Dame hasn't made it out the first round yet. KD.
Correction. He made it to the.
Well,
Girlfriend.
You better know what you're talking about.
Girlfriend.
This is a Deep Surface podcast. You better know what you're talking about.
Either way, it's not the same because KD had ample opportunity to get a ship.
Third time.
You feel me? He had ample opportunity to get a ship.
Lashes.
He had ample opportunity to get a ship, but then he turned around and leave and go to the team that beat you instead of trying to get
where you go,
and get them out. That doesn't make sense. That's not the same.
But where you go, it doesn't matter. So what?
It does matter.
What if Dame left and
what if
went
LeBron left Cleveland and went to the Cavs?
What if Dame
went to the
left and went to
Celtics?
Brooklyn?
That would be
After Brooklyn wins a championship.
That would be the equivalent to KD going to the Warriors.
That's what I'm saying. The team that he goes to, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
But you said they're in the same situation. They're not in the same situation.
Think about the situation. Get the LeBron love away
KD
from you, right?
never had the loyalty level that Dame has for Portland.
Listen,
let's just get that clear.
No, it was the
he
same.
He never liked OKC for real. He was just there.
This LeBron is so serious.
Well, can I make one point though about the Dame thing? I think we're letting someone off the hook, and that's the front office. They have a responsibility to put some.
They have put players over there. It's just they have the wrong mix of players. I don't think that
well,
he's going to be able to win with those.
But that's still, but Tap, you're right. That's still their responsibility though.
It was hard. They are good players. They put good players around KD.
Well, they don't play defense.
The chemistry.
There's
good chemistry with him. It's just not working.
But it's still the front office. They pick play right. Yeah.
So before we move on, I got another basketball question. and I'm gonna go to my man right here, and I want to go to you, AK. Y'all having a good time?
All day.
I'm having a good time, man. Listen, did Harden and Steph evolve the game, or did they destroy it by their style of play? Let me tell you why I asked that question. When you go to AAU, college, the ball doesn't move anymore. We talked about it in here, and we all collectively agreed that nobody plays defense. Everything is either you're shooting from 30 feet or shooting from 40 feet. I'm a basketball purist. I grew up understanding that when the ball moves, you get the best shot. I understand Steph Curry and James Harden and what they've done to the game. I respect that immensely. Has it done more harm, AK? Or has it evolved the game? And should we just respect it and leave it alone and let it do what it's gonna do?
Well, I don't want to say it's necessarily harm the game. I feel like their style of play. Obviously, their style of play has obviously changed the outlook on how we view positions throughout the NBA. But I don't think that's necessarily evolved or harmed the game. I feel like there's aspects missing that are there now that they didn't have back in the day, and vice versa. The same way big men couldn't shoot it from 30 feet, players nowadays can't play in the post either. So it's like, is that an evolution, or is it just, hey, now the styles have changed of how we view players in the NBA, to where it's like a 1 through 5 can be any size, any stature. Opposed to back in the day, you 6'7", 6'8" and up, you probably a three and up.
If you're a basketball,
3, 4, or 5.
If you're a basketball purist, will you what is our responsibility to let the game evolve to what it's gonna be? Because we got old heads over here.
Yo, you are developing in front of my eyes. Basketball purist?
OGs.
Really?
OG
You are something else, bro. You are something else, man.
Right here, I don't know.
Man.
Hey, y'all gotta
Oh.
listen, I love the game. I love what Jordan did for the game. I love what Isaiah, Oscar Robertson came out doing. Jabbar Lewis Senior before he became a Muslim. I love what they did for the game.
God,
So that's why But what I'm saying is,
it gotta be the suit.
no. What I'm saying is that how do we let the game evolve without our criticism? Because young players hear Tap. They hear Keegan. Sorry, Keegan. But they understand that people think the 90s was a better brand of basketball than right now.
It was.
I personally don't think so. I think that we just didn't have a lot to do. We didn't have the distractions we had.
Well,
Look, but go ahead.
Not to cut you off, before a couple reasons, players of today probably wouldn't be able to last in the 90s, and vice versa. Players today don't have the physical toughness, don't have the mental toughness to endure what it took to play an 82-game season back in the 90s.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, players in the 90s can't deal with the size, strength, and athleticism of the players today.
What?
So at the same time, we can compare the couple players y'all had that were a little big and athletic. They weren't doing too much today. They wouldn't be able to. They wouldn't be able to adapt to the game. It's too fast-paced, too strong, everything. It's the rules. It's the rules. The way the game is, but a lot of that goes to the way the game is refereed as well.
It is.
So I don't know if players in the 90s could adapt and vice versa.
So I want to respond. Hey, pass the mic to French. You want to get into French?
Go ahead. Pass the mic to French. Go
But
ahead.
I would say this is from your first question, it starts with what do I want to consume as a fan?
Come on.
So coming up in the 90s, I love the fact that we had point guards, shooting guards, small forwards, power forwards, centers. Today you have players.
Facts.
That's it.
Facts.
And that's not a knock. It's what it is. Not a knock.
Sound like
You had check it out. Don't get defensive. Got your cotton candy feelings, man. That's all fast. Stop it. Stop it. But check me out though. Check me out. Really? Yo.
Go ahead.
You brand old. But Steve, check me out though. And so back then we had people that actually did X and O's.
Yeah.
You had. Did you see Ty Lue at the end of the game? Didn't know to actually review the play. Coaches don't coach no more. Mike D'Antoni is a waste of position. He's not a coach. But today's world, you are because of what you do for a running gun. Back then, you actually understand time, possession, score. Had to have plays in your cues, right? I got to get you a half-court play or 25-second play, whatever it might be. You had coaching going on. You have players that executed X's and O's. So to me, it was a better basketball for what I wanted to consume. It's not a knock on today's games for what I wanted to consume.
Go ahead, French.
To your point, we do still have a few coaches that know the X's and O's of the game, i.e. Doc Rivers.
And when did he come up in the game? He was a 90s ball player, wasn't
He was.
He was.
80s too.
He
Okay.
was. He
Keep
was.
going.
He was.
I could do this all day
He
long.
was. He was. He
All
was.
day long.
He was.
Talk about the coach of the year.
Coach of the year.
Tim
I
Thibodeau.
give you that.
Tim Thibodeau.
Tim Thibodeau.
He's an old school dude.
X and
Nick
and O's
McMillan?
guys.
This Pop never
Yeah.
coached.
Supersonics? Okay.
Crazy. This Pop
All day long, Steve.
So let's go ahead. Let's transition a little.
Now you want to leave. Now you getting smoked. Now you want to leave. Say you do? Say you do?
I want to leave, but what I'm saying is, the younger generation and the older generation will never agree on their GOAT. They won't agree on the styles of play because we feel like right now is the prime time thing, and you guys feel the same way. You watch Michael Jordan. I get it. So realistically, if you're being responsible about this conversation, we will never agree. We're just not going to agree. I feel like there's better athletes. You feel like there was a better brand of basketball then. I
Everything was
don't.
better.
Same thing with music. Same thing with music.
Music.
So
It was not a regulation, but y'all had Bernie Man. But I don't keep it up. I don't keep it up. Y'all had a lot of scammers, but we gonna keep it. Y'all started scamming, but I ain't gonna go there. We're not gonna go there. But I want to go here though. So there's been for black men. I'm gonna go here. I'm just gonna lead the conversation because I know we're not gonna agree. And when you know you're not gonna agree, you just move on. That's a part of getting out of a relationship, right? I'm out of this argumentative relationship with you guys.
I got you. Yeah. Grace abounds, bro.
Grace
abounds. Grace abounds. Grace abounds. You can live. You can
But
live.
I'm
Grace
gonna say
abounds.
this.
You can
And
live.
Keegan, I'm gonna need you to talk for
I
a
know
second.
Ivan has already wrote him off.
Yeah, he done. Ivan's done. Ivan's done. I'm in the repo. That was all the
Of this.
So what I want to say is this. In this society right now, we see a lot of things about mental health online. We see a lot of our celebrities leading the charge about mental health, about what it means, about not being ashamed of mental health. But a lot of times I don't think we understand there's a difference between mental health
Yes.
and emotional health.
Yes.
And I'm gonna go to Keegan because I want you to break this down for us and unpack it for it a little bit. And I want to get everybody involved in this conversation because it's extremely important because it's gonna piggyback on the next conversation that we're having. Keegan, what is the difference between mental health and emotional health?
Well, I'll start by saying I'm not a doctor. I play one on TV, but I'm not one. So I want to be clear. These are opinions based on what I believe. But mental health is a diagnosable item that a clinician has to get involved in. We have medicines that's involved for bipolar, schizophrenia. To me, emotional health is more about depression, anxiety. You know, and one of the things I will say about let's get real specific.
Okay.
Let's not be generic.
Okay.
Let's talk about black people for a second.
Absolutely. You want to do black men or black people?
Black people, because I think
Okay,
females.
go ahead.
I think we got to look at the female first, right? Because depression never goes nowhere,
That's good.
and black women are more susceptible than any other female in the world to postpartum.
Absolutely.
And if it never goes anywhere, but they're not health insurance, I ain't going to all that. But when that happens, if it never goes anywhere, how can you manage it for the rest of your life, right? Men with pressure, as it relates to walking down the street in this particular country, black men, anxiety, and I'll be transparent with everybody who's watching, as well as people in the room. I've battled anxiety,
Me too.
right?
I did too.
And to this day, I still battle it, right? Because it will never go anywhere. So to figure out the tools to help me do so. Here's what happens in our community. We stigmatize, we scrutinize, we demonize. So you don't want to talk about it as a black man, because I got to be strong. I got to be masculine, right? But I struggle, right? And so the one thing about emotional health and mental health is it requires professional therapies. Self-diagnosis will never get you anywhere. You diagnosing me will never get me anywhere. Now I can use you to help me, but you gotta have professional therapies. And that's where you gotta start looking at, where do I bring a therapist into my world? It's okay. I went to one. Talk therapy works. It helps. It helped me a great deal. And I would suggest to everybody who's struggling with something or with a person in your life, get help. It is okay. There's nothing wrong with you. Because we all got some shit For some you think we don't, but we all got some shit. So get help, please.
Cat, why don't we get help?
I think there's, especially within our community, there's a lot of time, it's a lot of pressure to live up to a certain standard. What a man is. I remember, you know, you've heard so many times when people talk to kids, especially little boys, and they fall down or something.
Yeah.
They'll say, you know, stop crying.
Thanks.
You know, men don't cry.
Yeah.
Rub some dirt
You
on
know,
that
men
shit.
don't cry. Like,
Absolutely.
I hear that, you know, repeatedly, and almost to, you know, almost to a detriment in that a lot of times we don't know how to communicate in our adult relationships because we have the phobia of, you know, how we learned when we were growing up, what was acceptable, what was a man, what was not a man, what was a female, what was not a female, you know, growing up, and you know, we carry a lot of that baggage over into our current relationships, and sometimes it builds a wall. Sometimes I feel like sometimes men can be oversensitive.
Ooh, that's a good one.
They can be oversensitive, and I think they can also be undersensitive, not sensitive enough. I think it's, you know, in life it's about finding that balance, and if it's a therapist that's going to help you get there both ways, because I think it's one thing if you're being open with a sort of a balance, and then it's another thing if you're constantly, you know, crying on your lady's shoulder every 2 minutes and she can't.
Yeah.
You know,
That shit ain't happening.
but I mean, I think it has.
Tap got weird friends. I'm just saying, Tap got weird friends.
You'd be surprised. You know, but I think it's real. I think it's you know, a lot of our boys are pushed not to really show emotion, and they deal with those things when they get a little bit older in life.
Brian, how does that benefit us?
It doesn't. To not
Put the mic up to you. That's the fourth time I said it tonight.
Oh, you know, this is what I do. I'm hurt. I'm good. But no,
Go
I
ahead.
got you. But it doesn't benefit us, you know, to tell my 13-year-old son
Right.
not to cry, not to show, you know, your feelings and your thoughts, not to express yourself. You know what I'm saying? But even in that, at such a young age, we have to be careful, especially in this day and time as black men, to show your expression. Because if you show too much expression, expressing yourself, that could be considered as a threat. You know what I'm saying? I'm a passionate guy. And a lot of times, my passion for something get mistaken for, no, I'm not in my feelings. I'm just passionate about what I'm saying and what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? And it's a difference. And I see those same characteristics in my 13-year-old son. So now, at 40, I'm just learning how to like navigate those things or whatever. You feel what I'm saying? And I've always been like, yo, this is me. Fuck that. Accept me for who I am or what I am. But I understand this, that everybody can't take all of me, all of who I am. You feel what I'm saying? And everybody don't deserve all of me and all of who I am. So I have to be, you know what I'm saying, really be careful about that. But I mean, it boils down to just knowing how to express yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's a time, like I said, it's a time and place for everything. I'm sure we've all taught our kids that. We all heard that growing up. But you know, now it's just like, when is that time? Because as a man, like you said, it's that pressure of, you're the provider, you're the emotional stability. You know what I'm saying? You're the other backbone that's not supposed to say anything, just supposed to handle that shit.
So what you saying that it's leading right into my next question I want to ask, and I want Ivan to hold the mic too first, and I'm gonna go to Keegan and Tap too as well. So I want to talk about fatherhood for a second, because there's a stigma on black men, and we all know what it is. We're not good fathers. We're absent. We're not present. We leave our children. It's out there. Is it validated by facts? Yes, it is. Let's be responsible for a second. The pressure got to a lot of us. But we just didn't leave. We just didn't walk away because we felt like walking away. The crack epidemic did happen. Oppression did happen. Lack of jobs did happen. I'm not giving us an out. I'm not saying that we are completely not responsible for the decisions that we make, because every decision you make, you're responsible for. So Keegan, I'm gonna ask you first. And I just want to put it out there. What constitutes a good father?
That's a hard question to answer, because that would depend on that individual and what they can be as a father and a parent and who their kids are. But you missed one big point about what has happened to the black men. That's mass incarceration.
Ooh. Talk about that a little bit before you go back to your father point.
Yeah, so
the effects of it.
Well, I mean, it's been going on since, about the last podcast, since the black codes came out. And since that particular point in time is when an actual strategy actually put the black man in jail, right? So for a number of reasons, mainly free labor, but also to break the family up. And it really got exacerbated with Nixon and Reagan, and then our cousin Bill Clinton just went haywire, right? And so that shit just went. It destroyed us, you know. And I'm glad we can giggle about it because it was a serious matter.
It was,
right? So that actually impacted our ability to actually be in the household and be parents to our children. So I would say that, but I want to be clear about something. Stats matter. White folks take advantage of the wealthy system more than any other culture in this country, right? And it's typically the white female, right, who is on welfare. So that would suggest to me that the white man is not taking care of the kids.
Come on,
But that's don't get exposed.
good.
Right?
Facts.
That was my thought.
But
Middle West.
But we're internalizing.
Back to earlier, it's about marketing.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell that narrative. I want to paint a picture that the black man is X, Y, and Z, and that's been going on since that's been going on since the birth of a nation.
Gotcha.
The original story.
So they're marketing that we're not,
No doubt.
but we're not the biggest consumers not taking care of our children.
Because let's be clear. I know
Keith.
1, 2, 3,
absolutely.
4,
No question.
5,
Come on.
River, Eden, Garen, we all at.
6,
Come on.
Who else
I
got
know-
kids?
Facts.
7.
You probably got one you
7.
don't know about it.
Just off the Steve, just off the shoot this particular room, I know 7 fathers who are engaged, right? And so this whole story about we don't take care of our kids,
So is it a myth?
I would
Because
argue it is.
everybody I know, there's not a friend, there's not even a foe that I know that is not involved in their kids' life.
Because you wouldn't be around it. But hold, let's make sure we understand something. I want to make sure we understand the statistic about this. White people extract government resources more than any other particular group in this country. That's a stat. That didn't come from me. That came from the government.
And
Right?
people can look that up.
Yeah, they can verify that all they
Gotcha.
want. And the majority of that people group is a white woman. So that tells me that the white man's not doing what he's really doing. So to suggest that a stat is going to be subservient to an opinion or a marketing narrative, I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
Black men do take care of their kids. It's just not shown on the screen in media.
No, now I want to be clear. It's not an absolute.
No, that's not
There are
absolute.
some black guys out
I'm
here.
just saying
It's
the
not true
mark-
because
just the percentages that we talking
Papa
about.
was a Rolling Stone.
Yeah.
Papa was a Rolling Stone. Let's be clear.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
No
but
question.
the way it's been positioned throughout the course of our country, it's bullshit.
Go ahead, Brian. Let me go back to you.
Two things. That percentage is about fathers not being in the home. You know what I'm saying? And it's a lot of fathers that aren't in the home, but they still do what they're supposed to do for their child or their children that they have with that woman.
What challenges has you faced in fatherhood? You could answer the same question, Keith. What challenges have you faced, my boy?
Probably a challenge that I faced was trying to give my kids things that I didn't have growing up, and
Did it make them more spoiled and more
I
unappreciative?
think it definitely makes them a little more spoiled. Also makes them a little more unappreciative. They definitely, I think, to a certain extent, the mental toughness is not there like we had, because we're trying to put into our kids. We're trying to give them opportunities that we didn't have.
We take the struggle away.
We take the struggle away.
We took the struggle away.
And I remember.
How can you put the struggle in if it's not there?
I remember, like, for example, like, but way beyond what McDonald's is now. But I remember, like, growing up, like, we would go to McDonald's was like we would only go to McDonald's like once a month.
Yeah, that was
like these kids
Big.
Chick-fil-A, you know, like my daughter called me one day and she asked me, she was like, Dad, can you put some money on my card so I can Uber lunch to school? And I was like, y'all can Uber lunch to school?
That's different.
No cap. I was like,
Hey.
but not even that. Not even at their school. At their school, right? My daughter, they call me sometimes when they're just at their mom's house, and they'll say, you know, can I cash app them some money for them to get something to eat? I was like, your mom don't have anything to eat in the house? No, it's stuff here to eat. I just
not
want
what I
something
want.
else.
Go
I'm
ahead,
just
go
kind of
ahead.
like,
You got my go.
I'm just kind of like,
Let's
It's
go ahead,
different.
Alvin.
It's different.
Father,
It's
challenges
different.
you face in fatherhood, my boy.
One of the biggest challenges that I faced in fatherhood is I have 3 boys. 16, 13, 9, going on 10, but he looked like he 18. The biggest problem that I've had is
careful.
trying to get these boys to open up. It's very
That's
difficult for you to get them to open up and just have open dialect
That's
and
true.
open communication.
That's
Because the thing is
That's true.
they hear what you're saying, but they don't know if you're going to understand where they're bringing it from when they try to give it back to you.
That's good.
So it's kind of like, you know, you have to be a dentist sometimes. You really got to pull the teeth in order for you to get that information out of them or get them to open up and to express their feelings. And I know for me personally, that's one of the things that it was always difficult for me. I was raised by a single mother. She was very stern. She made sure that boy. Like, and so I didn't express a lot of emotions other than I got in trouble all the time in school, a lot of fights and things like that. But with my kids, they're nothing like that. They haven't had that type of life. And so when they have struggles that's going on at school, when they're having struggles, if it's struggles with schoolwork, they'll just come right off. But when it struggles with dealing with different relationships, or if it struggle with things that's going on with their own ideals about themselves, it's a struggle to pull that information out of them. So you just have to get kind of creative on how you actually communicate with the kids, especially having boys, and getting them to open up and just communicating with you.
Go ahead, Keegan.
So I want to make 2 points. The first one is about the struggle or the challenge. Raising a boy in today's world, because I watched American Skin with my son, and I had to, I told you, so I had to talk to him about what to do when you get into that cop situation. That is a challenge, right? And I felt Nate Parker on the movie when you're telling your kid it's okay for the dehumanization to actually take place so you can get home.
Yeah.
That's a tough convo in this particular world right now.
Why is it so tough, Keegan?
Because you're telling your kid you're trying to raise a king or a queen, son or daughter, and you're teaching them about their royalty, right? And their legacy from you as being your seed. And you gotta say, in this situation, I need for you to come down so you can get home. But that's a difficult discussion to have with your son. Now, on the flip side of that, I'm gonna brag a little bit, because I don't do that a lot. My daughter is 24 years old and have a W-2. 24.
What does that mean, actually?
No, I taught her about business.
There you go. So she owns her own
She owns her own business, has
There
2
you go.
revenue streams.
24
24 years old, moved herself to Nashville, Tennessee.
Wow.
Without my help. All I did was, I'm coming to see you, Ma. Check out your new spot, help you pick up some furniture, did her own thing. So the struggle is one thing, but let's talk about what we're doing. Like, your daughter has a chance to go to the WNBA.
That's facts. It's big facts.
And I seen you pour seed into that particular fertile soil, right? So let's not talk about the struggle. Let's talk about what we're doing to actually move the needle forward for our children, because we are putting in work, despite that bullshit narrative about we don't do shit as black fathers.
And I'll say this. I said to myself, and I think I told somebody else this. I said, I'm not as good as a father as I think I am, but I'm not as bad either.
No question.
Right. That's good.
It's
No
balanced.
question.
And so I think
ahead, Keith.
it's one thing. I think it's one thing for us all men to see here and to judge or say that, you know, every guy that we knows is a good dad. What will be the perspective of the females? What would they say about black men?
It's a good question.
Would they say that black men are
show.
good fathers?
I'll say this: when you're not in a relationship with that person or mother, if she's not your wife or anything like that, if you're just in a different relationship, it only matters what the child feel about you.
Mm-hmm.
Facts.
And
The mother does have struggle, and that's not to be ignored.
Absolutely.
Never to be ignored, because they're raising your child if you're not living in the home with them. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, what does your child say about you, Keegan? Tap, French, Ivan, B, me? I don't think I got no kids right now. Mama guy, what does your child say about you? That's gonna be the ultimate determining factor on what constitutes, in my opinion, a good or a bad father. And whether you're both, let me say this to the guys out there, whether you're both, there's always redemption if you have breath.
Yeah.
The one
question.
thing I know about children,
No question.
you're their lifeline. The Bible says this: honor your mother and father, and your days will be longer. It didn't say whether there was a good father or a bad father. It said honor. And I think we all have that in ours. Like my father died when I was 7. And I would give anything in the world to say Steve. Listen, just Steve. Not a conversation, not a lifetime, just Steve. I never felt that. That is something that's going to live with me forever. But for those men out there who are abandoning their kids, who are not in their kids' life, who are not doing the things that they should do, grace abounds to everybody.
It
You
does.
get it right.
I know we don't like to have the conversations because, people aren't there. And there's a big reason why our fathers aren't there, but it doesn't negate the responsibility. The responsibility still exists. And just because we're good at now tap, you don't know what's going to happen in your life. You don't know what'll hit your life to make you walk away and be selfish. Because that's what leaving your child is looking at yourself more than you're looking at them. We have to, as men in this room, we have to learn grace. Christ did that to perfection. He didn't act perfect. He gave grace with perfection. The woman at the well, Keegan.
Right.
The adulteress.
The adulterer. Go and sin no more. He didn't judge her. He without sin cast the first stone. We got to start looking at our men and including all of them. Even the ones that's dirty. But we all dirty, we just haven't got caught yet.
That's a fact.
None of us had got caught yet. Roy think he clean back here. This Gen Z generation.
Listen.